Welcome to Off-Grid Living for Beginners Interviews with Off-Gridders. I'm Amy. I'm going to be hosting this series, and this is episode 1. I'm going to be interviewing myself just to tell you a bit about my off-grid experience and setup. And if you're into what we're doing here, make sure to click the subscribe button, give it a like. So let's get started. So let's start with where am I? I'm in Canada, in South Central BC. I've been here for 3 years, starting from bare land. What made me want to go off-grid? I didn't really think of it as off-grid when I started, but I really wanted to go live on this piece of property that I own and give living off the land a shot, and I haven't looked back. If you're wondering what's moving behind me, it's a kitten on a ladder. I think one thing that we learn as off-gridders is how to make things work, and this is no exception for me. So the tapestry is sitting on a ladder and there's a kitten climbing it just to add to the entertainment value. Access is about 7 months of the year, and then I'm snowed in. Then it's snowmobile only because of my elevation more than anything, and I love that. I love the seclusion is a lot of fun. It's weird. The first winter was really weird, but it was really cool, and I enjoy it. The property is surrounded by Crown land, which is like the equivalent of public land if you're American, I think. Being off-grid to me is obviously being away from public services. I live far enough away that bringing in power isn't an option. I live in a 20-foot Secan house that we built. It's since had an addition, which I'm sitting in right now, the front room, which is all made of lumber that's been milled on site. My electricity is a 1,000-watt solar system at this point. It's kind of been a gradual process of growing the solar. So started with, the first summer was just 200 watts with one of those portable power stations. Actually, my computer's sitting right on it. So portable power station, and that was it. So all that would run, it's 500 watts. So it would do like my computer, maybe a small appliance, but nothing with like a heating element or anything like that. And so now it's grown to 1,000 watts, the main array being 800, and then a couple, the original 2 kind of just float around and do things as needed. So I don't have normal like power. I still can't run my coffee maker off of my main array. I have a 1,000-watt inverter. So we can make the coffee, but as soon as that little heating element on the bottom turns on, then the whole thing just kind of goes mayday and it doesn't happen. I live on a mountain near the top, and my water is 300 feet below me, so we cart water up. Last year was 200-liter barrel at a time, and now we've moved up to putting about 600 or 700 liters in the back of a truck and carting it up that way. So water is scarce here. I'm subalpine, so I'm high up, and I figured out how to make it work. In the winter, there's melting snow and some snow melt catchment last year, some funny experiments that actually went really well. So I'm looking forward to seeing actually how it evolves going forward. My washroom is an outhouse. It's a hole in the ground that I dug, and we dragged the building on top of it. And I don't think I'd ever go back. I like it. I don't want to have like a bucket system or a composting toilet in my house, although I've heard that they're great. I don't really want one in my little space because it's only 250, a little less than 250 square feet. For me, hot water is an on-demand portable hot water heater, just for showering, and when I'm washing dishes I fill a bucket, and my running water as such is a fish tank pump in a bucket, and it works great. For heat, I have a wood-burning fireplace. I actually found it for free. I was on a trip and it was at the end of a driveway, and for some reason it really stood out as being a good one, and I didn't really know anything about wood stoves, but as it turns out it is. It's a Dutch West catalytic, which is way too big for this house. So I've kind of learned how to keep it mellow, and it works awesome. Cooling, there isn't any. Refrigeration, I have a propane freezer. I'm currently running a little electric, like a Coolitron type fridge, but looking to probably upgrade that to a proper propane fridge in the future. Cooking is on a kind of an oversized camp stove, which I love. So it's all propane. I'd love to go up to wood for cooking, but my house is just too tiny for like a big wood burning cook stove. And with the way that fire bans are here in BC, don't really want to be having fires in the middle of summer just for that reason. So I'd like to experiment with cooking over fire, but propane's pretty great. It sure does beat my electric stove from town from before, so I'm not looking back on that. I think if extenuating circumstances made it so that I had to go to live in town for some reason, I'd probably bring the camp stove. My internet is it's an LTE router. I don't have Starlink yet. It works pretty good though, actually. Kind of middle of the road, but I find that not having the best internet sometimes a blessing too, since you really want to, I want to immerse myself in being here and in the middle of nature. My snow gets to be about 6 feet deep, maybe. We counted the total snowfall last year and it was 10 feet. Really fun for snowmobiling. I had an absolute blast last year. Biggest challenge for us at this property is water moving and that long winter. So growing vegetables is tricky, not impossible, but takes some thought. And in that, hailstorms happen right into spring. I think maybe I'll get like 3 months where a plastic greenhouse doesn't get killed by the hail. So planning around that. And moving water uphill is tricky. We tried doing like a series of solar powered pumps to move the water uphill and it worked, but it was still hard for the pumps even at that. So I'm either gonna have to up the ante with the pumps or just be good doing what we're doing now, which is I think I am good with. Or maybe move closer to where my water source is. For water, the spring is really good. It's good water, but just to be safe, I put it through a gravity-fed ceramic filter system, like a Berkey, but it's a Canadian version called Infraction. For me, this is largely about being self-reliant, creating my own food, and creating less of an impact on the environment. So I'm learning to grow my own food. I'm working to establish the soil here since the soil's really thin, which is why I have farm animals. It's not just for their milk and meat, it's also for their poop. So in that, I've learned a lot of what doesn't work when it comes to growing things, and I'm happy that a few things have really flourished this year finally. So I'll have a little more food going into this winter. I still buy lots from the store too, but a little bit more of my own is definitely nice. And I've kind of moved into embracing the wild edibles that are here. So for me, eating the weeds. I'm loving fireweed. I'm loving self-heal, lamb's quarters. If you haven't had lamb's quarters, I suggest them. The wild berries are just coming out right now and I'm really excited about them. And preserving them and figuring out what the best way to preserve here is. And adjusting for that elevation, because when you're pressure canning you actually need to adjust by a few degrees for how high up you are. Storing stuff, I don't yet actually have a cold cellar. That's still in that big list of things to do. So it's up there with like a barn and a workshop and a few other things. One question I'm planning on asking off-gridders is how you feel your life has changed since moving off-grid. So, and if your outlook has changed. For me, I do have a newfound respect for the amenities that are provided in town. Not that I would change it, not that I would change what I'm doing right now, but things that you don't think about like water pressure, and adapting to the lifestyle is hard. It's a lot of work. You're out in the elements a lot. Depending on exactly how you're doing it, for me it was nothing. There was nothing here. So it was difficult in that sense. Difficult but rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Tips for newbies: do research, give yourself time, It takes some time and effort and mistakes. And don't be too hard on yourself when you make mistakes because you're learning. It's just a fact. You're going to make mistakes, and what works for some people won't work for other people. I've definitely had advice that was good advice, but did not work in my circumstance. And learning why that doesn't work is awesome. And experimenting, and just make sure that you're having fun, because it is about having fun and enjoying yourself. And for me, it's about being out in nature. Guess I could have put on a clean shirt. I was fixing my dirt bike, and I did not realize I was this dirty until right now. Sorry. So please comment below what you think that I missed for questions, and who you think I should interview. If you're looking for more information on living off-grid, make sure to check out the Off-Grid Living for Beginners website, offgridlivingforbeginners.com. Smash that subscribe button to see more, where I'm actually interviewing other people, not just myself.